What's up, everybody? This is What is Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Dietz.
Woo! What's up, guys?
Also, I'm here with JP Cochran. How are you doing, JP?
Good, man. I'm sorry to butt in right there. I just was excited for this episode, so I couldn't contain myself.
Yeah, man, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, Nick is going to be joining us shortly. He's running a little bit late. He's probably putting baby Nolan to sleep or something like that.
Yeah, doing daddy stuff.
Oh, yeah. But let's go ahead and get started, though, because we got a few different things to talk about. This episode, we are going to be talking about the WNBA playoffs, which should be starting the day that this recording is released. Before we get to that, though, just a couple of social media plugs. Follow us on Twitter at whatisports1 with no question mark, and like us on our Facebook page to stay up to date with the show. Also, if you haven't yet, of course, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or Google Play, and leave us a rating and review if you like the show. Also, check out our sister show, What is Nerd, which this week we're talking about the Evil Dead trilogy.
Ooh.
Oh. And finally, if you have any questions or comments, send us an email at wisportscast@gmail.com. Now, before we get into the WNBA playoffs preview, we have some news and stuff. First of all, a few episodes back, I did a segment on the UEFA Champions League. That's the European International Soccer organization. Champions League, it's a big tournament. Now, if you're not familiar with it, go back and listen to that episode where I kind of explain everything you need to know. But the group stage match day 1 is going to be Tuesday, September 17th. So that's going to be before the next episode of What is Sports comes out. It's also going to continue on to Wednesday, September 18th. So, watch some soccer that day. See what is airing on your TV stations and stuff like that. In the episode where I covered the tournament, I kind of gave a list of teams that I recommended watching. So check that out. Should be a lot of fun. I know that there's going to be some good matches that day. Okay. Now first, JP, we had a big old tennis tournament called the U.S. Open that happened over the past couple of weeks. So what happened this weekend, JP?
Well, let's see here. So over the weekend we had the men's finals. Okay, let's go back. Let's start at the depressing news.
Yeah, that's right.
My main man.
There's one person who was missing from the finals.
That's right. This guy, he did make it to the quarterfinal for his umpteenth time. I'm sure it's a record or something like that. But my main man, Roger Federer, lost in 5 sets to Grigor Dimitrov, who's unranked. He's not ranked. I've heard of him before. And golly, he looked really good playing.
So is he is he new? Is he like a up and comer or something like that?
No, I think he's been around for a while. Let me look that up real quick, but I'll keep on talking as I look it up.
Okay.
Anyway, but he looked really good. Federer, he was kind of probably wasn't playing his A game. I knew his serve wasn't the best. A lot of times, if Roger gets down, or if if his ground strokes aren't up to par, like his serve kind of saves him. He's always had a really good serve, not necessarily speed, but his placement of his serve is excellent. But his serve wasn't great. He was having more double faults than normal, and so Dimitrov, let's see, he is, I think he's 28. So for a tennis player, yeah, that's not young. So I think he's been around for a while. He does. Fun fact: he does have Andy Roddick as a coach, I believe.
Who's that?
Andy Roddick.
I don't know. Who's that?
You don't know who Andy Roddick is, man?
No. The only tennis players other than the ones that have been in these tournaments are like John McEnroe is the only tennis player that I know. So.
Well, Andy Roddick, he's an American tennis player. He played in the maybe the late 90s, early 2000s. He did have a small. He did play. I think he won the U.S. Open one year. and he did have a small rivalry with Roger Federer for like 1 or 2 years. He did play the Federer back, and it's amazing to think because this was back in like 2002 or 2003, and he's been retired for the longest time.
So Andy Roddick.
Yes, Andy Roddick. So
this guy beats Roger Federer, and it was funny that happened though because they were playing on the night that we were recording the previous episode, and we were talking about how it's nice that you don't really have to watch the Federer matches because you know he's gonna win, and then he ended up losing. So
yeah,
that's what we
and
get
I mean,
for...
it hasn't happened in a while, but yeah, there have been some times where he's lost in the quarterfinal. And granted, quarterfinal, I mean, that's getting a long ways. Like for these new and upcoming, like young tennis players, getting to the quarterfinals would be like a dream.
Yeah, I mean, because Coco Gauff didn't get to the quarters, right?
And for Federer, kind of not getting past the quarterfinals is kind of like a disappointment. But I mean, the guy's 38 years old. I mean,
right.
I mean, plenty of people would have retired before.
Yeah.
Years.
I feel like I saw a lot of articles the next day about how he's like, this is the beginning of the end for Federer. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I think, if he had an injury or something like that, then because he did call out the trainer during his match, and I think he was having some like shoulder issues or I can't remember some part of his body was hurting or something like that. Maybe he was having cramps or something, but I don't know. Like every year I don't know, just cautionary pessimism because if I get too optimistic and then he retires, then I'll be like really depressed. So if every year I expect his retirement, then it'll be less of a surprise. So every year I'm just kind of so basically I'm kind of indifferent with with that. I just expect him every year for him to announce his retirement or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you like hardly ever hear of people playing up to age 38, and I don't know.
Looking for a new player, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta find a new favorite. Well, and so Nadal ended up winning the finals, right?
Yes, he played Mendeldev, if that's how you pronounce his name.
Which I didn't watch it at all. So how was that as a final?
It was good. I watched not all of it, but some of it, and Nadal was playing pretty well. Mendeldev he's really tall and lanky. He's got a really good serve. He's got really hard ground strokes. He also serves and volleys. Like, do you know what serving and volleying is?
That literally just sounds like hitting the ball with your racket.
Okay. So, like, a volley is when you're up at the net and you, are volleying the ball.
Is it like you hit it before it bounces on the ground?
Yeah, basically,
okay.
Yeah. So that's like a serve and volley is like when they serve it, and right after they serve it, the player runs to the net, and their goal is to like put it away on their opponent's next shot.
Right.
So,
they want to like short it.
Yeah. So you can put it away a lot quicker serving volley. Like that's the old school style of play.
And so he can do that because he is long-limbed and can make it across the court really quickly.
Yeah. He's you have to be pretty quick to do it. And I mean, fewer players do it now.
Okay.
But anyway, so
all right. Continue.
Oh, I was gonna say he played Nadal pretty closely. I definitely wasn't expecting the match to go 5 sets because he's been playing really well. I mean, he's ranked number 2, but he might as well be the number 1 player in the world.
Right.
But I mean, it was an exciting match. I mean, it's always nice to see a competitive match. You don't want to see someone get dominated. So, but Mendeldev, he's ranked number 5, so he's up there. I mean, he's definitely. You could see definitely why during the match why he was ranked so high. He's a good player. So
nice. Well, okay. So then for the women's singles final, Serena got beat by what's her name?
Let me see. Hold on a second. Let me look her up again. I forgot her name. I wasn't able to watch this match because I was busy that day. but she won. It was Bianca Andreescu. She was Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe she was like the first Canadian men or
Yes, I saw that.
to win a tennis major. So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. So I didn't get to watch any of it, but anyway, congratulations to her. Serena's had plenty of championships under her belt. So I mean, that's like I've said before. I'm not the biggest Serena fan because it seems like controversy always follows her. She always gets pissed and she's like rude to the other player, the chair umpire or somebody. But
Well, after Osaka and Townsend were out, I mean, I wanted Serena to win, but I wasn't paying too much attention after that, just because I hadn't been watching Serena throughout the tournament very much. So, I hadn't heard of the other player though, and so that's kind of a bummer that that Serena didn't win. I think, but oh well, it seems to me like a new generation of players are starting to take over at this point.
yeah, which is, I mean, it's kind of like with the men mainly. It's kind of weird to think about that. I mean, Nadal and Djokovic are going to be around for a while. Who knows how long Federer will be, but like the new guy Medvedev who won. I mean, I'm sure he'll be around for quite a while. And I mean, in a way, it is exciting because I mean, they could be turned into one of the greats, and
could be your new favorite player.
They could turn into like a new, Djokovic, or nobody will turn into a new Federer.
All right. So. Well, I'll be looking forward to the Australian Open in January.
Yeah, unfortunately, got a while, but it's okay.
Yep. Oh well, we got plenty of other stuff to watch in the meantime, so it'll go by fast. Well, okay. So Nick is going to be talking about some college football stuff in a bit, but
I believe we're just joined by Nick Grant.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
Well, funny you asked because we were just talking about sports, actually, which I know is your specialty.
I mean, one of many.
But actually, no, it's good that you're here now because JP and I were just fixing to get into something about Antonio Brown. I feel like I've been hearing a lot of stuff, and listeners, y'all know that I don't know anything about sports. So, what's been going on with Antonio Brown?
Well, just to let you know, this is sort of old news. We'll be kind of talking about the entire story, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, do you know who Antonio Brown is?
Nope.
First of all, no. All right.
Wait, let me guess. Is he a wide receiver?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
So for several years, he's been one of the top receivers in the NFL, and he's been playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Well, last season, Pittsburgh was kind of the center of controversy and just news stories because Le'Veon Bell was holding out for the entire year, and Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell's was their running back.
And Le'Veon Bell, by holding out, you mean like he wasn't playing because he was trying to...
he wanted a more guarantee. I believe he wanted a bigger contract.
It's like similar to the Ezekiel Elliott situation, right?
Similar, yeah. Real similar. But anyways, Antonio Brown's, I believe, said, I want to get paid, and if he felt like the team was disrespecting him and he wasn't conforming to the rules, man.
Ooh.
And he was basically becoming a distraction, and there was rumors that he and the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger weren't getting along, and it's kind of important to have a good relationship with a quarterback and wide receiver. And apparently, and I think it was the last game of the season, it was a must-win game, and they said, Antonio Brown's hurt, his knees bother him, so he's not going to play. Turned out, he actually got in a big argument with Ben Roethlisberger earlier during practice, and so it was a lot of bad feelings all around. Mm-hmm. And I think he had a year left on his contract, and he said, pay up or trade me. Well, basically, it just came down to trade me. So a lot of people were saying, I don't want this diva, but the Oakland Raiders, they said, you know what, we'll take a shot on love, and they traded for Antonio Brown. They traded a 3rd and 5th round draft pick in the 2019 draft that happened earlier this year, and they got Antonio Brown. So I was like, man, this is great. Things are going well. Well, then just these crazy news stories just started kind of happening. One of them being that Antonio Brown got a frostbite on his feet. He was doing some cryotherapy, and I guess it was too cold for his toesies, and he got frostbitten.
Well, he went in there with wet feet. You're supposed to go in there with socks. And this could have been it's stupid. It could have been a career-ending injury. I mean, he could have.
It's frostbite. You don't mess around with frostbite.
Yeah, especially if you're an NFL wide receiver.
You kind of need your feet.
Rely on your feet.
Yeah, you kind of need your feet. They're kind of hands and feet.
Yeah.
They're pretty important.
It's like a surgeon getting their fingers injured, or it's just like.
Is Antonio Brown the Doctor Strange of football? Is that what you're saying?
He's strange, that's for sure. He's been doing some crazy things. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think.
Yeah,
I just think now everybody knows he's the top or one of the top wide receivers in the game, and he wants to be paid and respected as one. And people are not really casting him aside. Like, he's getting the recognition, but he just wants the. I guess to me it seems like he wants the financial reimbursement for his services. Yeah, JP, tell us about the helmet.
So NFL, they have new helmets out that are safer for people's brains. So Antonio Brown, everybody has to have this new helmet issued by the league, but Antonio Brown put up this big fuss saying he doesn't want a new helmet. He wants to use the helmet that he's been wearing, and so he basically was protesting that and refused to play with one of these new helmets. And so he was like, I think, like, Nick, was he out of practice for a while? Or
he was appealing. He said, I want my helmet that I've had since Pittsburgh. I want to use that helmet. I like it. It fits right. He said, I don't want to use this new helmet. So he appealed it. And he also threatened to retire. Like, here's a guy in his prime, one of the best receivers in the league, and is threatening to retire over a helmet. So after that, he finally said, fine, I'll use the approved helmet. And eventually he got a fine from the GM for missing practice. And he got in a big fight. And basically, there were more bad feelings. And people were saying that Antonio Brown was going to be suspended. And this happened this past week. This is much more recent. And so, is he going to be suspended? Is he going to play week 1? We don't know. Then, within 12 or 24 hours, there was news reports that he had an emotional apology, and the team captains were by his side, and he talked to the team and apologized, and they said, all right, everything's cool, man. Yeah, all is forgiven. He'll play week 1. And then, I don't know the exact timeline of this, but he recorded a phone conversation that he had with the head coach, John Gruden, and then he uploaded it to YouTube. So that's not smart. Then they decided to fine. I don't know if this was before or after the phone recording conversation, but they said, we're going to fine Antonio Brown over $200,000, and we're also going to remove the guaranteed money, which would have been almost $30 million guaranteed from his contract. So they're basically saying, hey, if you want to get paid, you have to play every week. So Antonio Brown didn't like that. Who would? And so he asked for his release via Instagram and made it very public, and then the Raiders released him. And that happened within like 24 to 48 hours. So a roller coaster of news where is he going to play? Is he not going to play? No, he made up with the team, and then just crazy stuff. And so he's a free agent. And then, shortly after, that day of being released, he signs a 1-year deal with the Patriots, the New England Patriots, and will probably start in week 2, which is coming up. So he went to an okay team, to pretty much one of the best. Everybody was flipping out because, you made one of the best teams in the NFL even better. And basically the Raiders wasted a 3rd and 5th draft pick in the trade because they never used Antonio Brown in the regular season. So again, this is kind of the whole timeline in a nutshell, but it's crazy, dude.
So would you say the problem is that would you say that the Raiders mishandled the situation, or how do you think things could have been better? I guess
I don't know. I mean, nobody really knows what happens behind those closed doors, and I'm sure there's things that were said, and in the heat of the moment, and I don't know. It just maybe egos, maybe a stubbornness on both sides. It just wasn't a good fit, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was just a frenzy, man. Dietz, I wish you knew what was going on when it was going on, because it really is wild. But
yeah, it was crazy. Like, I mean, I think Friday night I heard that, he had that apology with some of the captains on the team, and then the next day Nick said something, and I realized he was talking about like that Antonio Brown had been traded to the Patriots, and
no, he wasn't traded.
Yeah,
he was released, and then he signed.
or released and then signed. Yeah, so, and who knows? Maybe the Patriots were recruiting him the whole time, and maybe he was trying to sabotage himself. And New England might be the best fit for him, because you never hear about that stuff going on.
Yeah, well, also New England, they take these kind of high risk guys that have had off the field issues before, and Bill Belichick does a great job of kind of guiding them. And you hear about all these troublemaker guys going to New England, and then they're, I don't want to say fixed, but they start acting a little more controlled.
Because I think they think that Bill Belichick doesn't really care. Like, I mean, he's already achieved so much in his career, and I guess he just won't put up with it.
I don't know. I feel like a good player can get away with a lot more if they're on a team that's not that great, because it's like the team needs the player more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
But all right, let's move on. Thank you for filling in on that. Let me know if something else happens with him.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's supposed to suit up in week 2, so that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Nick, you got a little bit of college football news, right?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention some notable games and some results that happened this past weekend. Starting off, you have the number 7 ranked Michigan Wolverines. They defeated Army 24-21 in double overtime. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because Army almost upset Michigan in Michigan, and that would have been a really big upset. It was actually pretty entertaining fourth quarter. Looked like Army was going to win, but they didn't. And so Michigan hung in there and pulled out a tough victory. And then probably there were pretty much 2 big games this Saturday. The lesser one was a number-ranked 12 Texas A&M at number 1 Clemson, and it really wasn't that close. Clemson won 24-10. And then also number 25 Nebraska, they lost at Colorado 34-31 in overtime. It's kind of a big loss, and it was a big game. I didn't really see it, but I watched highlights. Colorado came back and won in overtime, and they made some pretty crazy plays. I kind of wish I watched it. It looks to be very entertaining. Another upset, number ranked 14 Washington lost to Cal 20-19, and USC, University of Southern California, defeated number ranked 23 Stanford 45-20. So those were kind of some upsets and entertaining games.
All right,
happened.
Cool. Well, and also we all kind of set as homework this week to watch the UT versus LSU game, which let's keep this brief, but kind of talk about it a little bit. Like, I think that the last game that we watched was a bit more entertaining, but this one wasn't bad, because I think that the key thing is, because obviously LSU ended up winning. What was the score again?
The final score was 45-38.
And it kind of seemed like basically just LSU got a couple of touchdowns ahead of Texas and just kind of kept the distance the whole game. And Texas did their best job with keeping up. The craziest thing that I thought was in the first quarter where there was the turnover. Like, so Texas there was a turnover, like when they were like within like 10 yards of the end zone, right? And then LSU got the ball, and then there's an interception. But then LSU still stopped Texas from scoring the touchdown.
That was Texas went down the field, and they turned over on downs. It was fourth and goal. They couldn't get a touchdown, so LSU got the ball deep in their own territory. And then I think like the next play or 2 plays later, the LSU's quarterback, Joe Burrow, threw an interception, and then Texas once again tried to score and turned it over on downs.
Yeah.
But, the first half, it was kind of entertaining. LSU jumped out to a pretty big lead. I think it was 20-7.
Yeah, that's
at
right.
Half, and then Texas came out on fire to get it within 14, I think, or get within 7, and then basically every team just scored on every possession. It was just no defense, and I think a lot of people were surprised that LSU. The SEC really isn't known for their offense, and so a lot of people were surprised that LSU's offense looked so great. But one of the things I was kind of surprised at was how bad their defense looked. I mean, I know Texas' offense ain't no chump, but they still put their quarterback Sam Ehlinger had 401 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and had 60 yards rushing. So it was definitely a shootout. Not something you'd expect from an SEC defense, but I mean, I don't know, man. It was both teams just played great on offense, and I mean, I agree. I think last week the Oregon and Auburn game was better just because Auburn came back and won on that, 2 seconds, 9 seconds left to take the lead. And there really wasn't that. There was drama in this game for sure because it was like Texas kept clawing back and they right on the trail of LSU, but there was never really any once LSU took the lead in the first half, there was never really any drama besides that because they kept the lead the entire game.
Yeah, I saw that Matthew McConaughey was very upset.
Yeah, I saw the clip. He dropped the F-bomb on live TV, but yeah, I mean it wasn't a bad game. I mean both teams, they're both really good. Obviously, it was entertaining. It wasn't as drama filled as the Auburn and Oregon game.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Yeah, so college football's fun to watch. Who knew?
I knew. JP knew. A lot of people knew,
exciting,
actually.
Man.
Well, okay, so let me go ahead and get us talking about WNBA playoffs. I'm going to be kind of brief with this. So, okay, have you guys ever watched WNBA? Like, have you guys ever paid any attention to it?
Not too much.
No, I mean, I've seen highlights, and I've seen, if it's on, I might watch it for a few minutes and say, all right, I can do something else. So I'll change the channel.
Because I'm actually pretty excited for the WNBA playoffs because it's basketball playoffs. And I think that the experience of watching March Madness and the NBA playoffs has really kind of got me hooked.
Yeah, and also one thing I like about the WNBA playoffs is it's faster paced, it's shorter, it's more condensed, so you're not having to wait 5 weeks to get through one round or something,
Yes.
I feel like the NBA kind of drags on sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So the structure of the WNBA works like this because it kind of the last 2 rounds are best of 5, but so the way that it works is they take the top 8 teams, regardless of the conference. So in the East,
that's nice.
Yeah. So in the Eastern Conference, we have 3 teams. In the Western Conference, we have 5. As far as like the seeds go, so in the Eastern Conference, we got first is Washington Mystics, second is Connecticut Sun, and the way that it works is the top 2 seeded teams are guaranteed to be in the semifinals, so that's nice for them.
Yeah,
it kind of makes the regular season like extra important.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because that's a big advantage. And then you got the 5th place seed, which is the Chicago Sky. For the Western Conference, you have the 3rd place seed, the LA Sparks. They are guaranteed to play in the second round, and the fourth seed is the Las Vegas Aces, also guaranteed to play in the second round. So they get to skip a round of the tournament as well. And then for 6th seed, we have Seattle Storm. 7th, there's Minnesota Lynx, and 8th, there's Phoenix Mercury. So this week we have the first round starting today. The day that you're hearing this, September 11th, 7 p.m. that's Central Time, is the Chicago Sky versus Phoenix Mercury game, and then 9 p.m. is the Seattle Storm versus Minnesota Lynx game. The following game will be Sunday the 15th, so this coming weekend will be the second round. That's going to be the Las Vegas Aces versus whoever wins out of the Sky versus Mercury match or game, and then there's the LA Sparks will be playing against whoever wins versus the in the Storm or Lynx game. So you kind of already know at least one of the teams that's going to be playing in each of the each of the upcoming games. Then next week, so September 17th through the 26th, these are the semifinals. These are best of 5. So whoever wins in the bracket will go on to play against the Washington Mystics, and then the other team in their bracket will go to play against the Connecticut Sun. And then the finals will be September 29th to October 10th. Again, that's the best of 5. So it'll be fun to watch. I'm excited to watch it. I've never watched a WNBA game in my life, but I love watching basketball playoffs, so I'll be keeping up with this. And in case y'all are wondering, yes, we do have a Dallas team, the Dallas Wings, I think. Let me double check that. They are the second to last ranked team though in the WNBA.
So not a good year.
They I think initially they were in Tulsa and then they moved to Frisco actually, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Not too long.
No,
ago.
they play in Arlington actually.
Arlington, okay. Well, I'm wrong. So.
But the Dallas Wings, their record is 10 wins, 24 losses, and then they're the only team that's worse than them is the Atlanta Dream, whose record is 8 wins and 24 losses.
Yikes.
And they're actually 26 losses. 8 wins, 26 losses for the Atlanta Dream. And what's funny is their record is actually the inverse of the top seeded team in the Eastern Conference, the Mystics. They have 26 wins and 8 losses. So that's it's a big difference there.
Yeah, slightly.
But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know for the upcoming tournament. So
do you know what channels they air on?
Yes, it's mostly going to be on ESPN2. Right. At least all the games that are going to be this week will be ESPN2. So yeah, check it out.
Sweet.
That's all I got though. Did you guys want to add anything before we wrap up the episode?
No, man. I think that's all the sports I have to talk about.
I'm just happy that I could jump on and be part of this episode and this journey.
Thank you for joining us, Nick.
Of course, yeah.
Nick, what's our homework for next week for football?
Well, we thought it would be fun to mix it up. We've watched 2 college football games, and since we do have a fantasy football listener league, it'd be fun to watch an NFL game. So we'll be watching the Sunday night football matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. So we got the birds flying around. Should be a lot of fun.
Which, by the way, do you know who's ranked number 1 in our fantasy listener league team?
You know what? It's not who wins or loses. It's who has the most fun.
It's who wins. It's the Dietz Dominators, baby. Dietz Dominators are dominating. I am first place.
Well, congratulations.
Who's what am I? Let's see.
You are 3rd place, and Nick. We won't mention where Nick is at.
I think I'm 8th or 9th. I mean, it's bad. I had a rough week 1.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
It's just been 1 game though, so
man, it's a long season.
It's a long season. All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up the episode. So next week we are talking about NASCAR.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Woohoo! Ricky Bobby.
Monster Energy NASCAR playoffs are starting next Sunday, so we're going to be getting into that. And then of course we'll talk about all the usual stuff. We'll talk about some more WNBA playoffs, more football, more baseball, all that stuff. Anyways, so thanks for listening to What is Sports this week. If you haven't yet, once again, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, etc. Leave us a rating or review if you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or comments, send us an email at wisportscast@gmail.com. And of course, give us a follow on Twitter at whatisports1. And like us on our Facebook page to stay up to date with news about the show and communications and all that stuff. Anyways, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Whoa. The show's not over just yet. Dietz.
What happened?
Okay, so, we were talking about the Antonio Brown saga. Well, I kid you not, as we are just now, while we're recording, some news just happened.
What did he do now?
Well, I'm reading this from an article from TMZ, so it is what it is. But I've seen it on other news sites. Antonio Brown is being sued by a woman who claims the New England Patriots star wide receiver sexually assaulted and raped her during 3 separate encounters. And apparently this just was released and just happened. I'm not going to go into the details, but he denies it, but he's being accused of sexual assault and rape.
That's crazy. So we couldn't even get through a podcast without something else happening with him.
Yeah, I know. I was like, we just talked about all this crazy story, this roller coaster of his journey from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Raiders and then now the Patriots. And granted, the incidents apparently happened a few years ago, I think, or a year or two ago. But anyway, still, it's just crazy that we talked about it and it just happened.
All right. So. Well, we can probably continue the discussion next episode, but thanks for bringing that up now. So it was on TMZ and there's some other sources as well?
Oh yeah, just Google Antonio Brown and there's several news articles. So yeah, by the time this episode is out and people are listening to it, something else will have happened.
Wow.
But yeah, anyways, I guess that's it. So
all right, Nick, thanks for being on the Antonio Brown beat. Let us know if anything else happens.
All right, well, I guess that's the end of the episode. So
all right, bye everybody.
Bye.